Hi, my name is Rachel and I'd like to introduce GYM. GYM stands for Gardens You Manage, and it's an online system for managing growing in cities. And just quickly introduce the GYM team. So myself, Siobhan and Cormac will be presenting, and the other members of our team are Aine, Gabe and Maureen. And we've, over the 9 weeks, we brought our various different fields together to work on this particular project. The first question we had to ask ourselves as a group is, why are we interested in urban farming and why is this necessary? Well, in this, there's 7 billion people living in the world today, and that's 7 billion mouths to feed. So as we've heard from Teresa's introduction, the trend towards urban living is ever increasing, and with issues like food miles and carbon footprints, as well as the spike in oil prices, it's no longer sustainable to consider bringing food from far away. So there's more and more of an interest in locally sourced organic food. And we're also interested in the social aspects associated with farming in cities, in the way they can kind of engender a certain community spirit that might be lacking in contemporary city life. So we began to look at a variety of different references, seeing what's out there, what are the solutions that are existing. And of course, there are many different solutions to this. People are growing on the rooftops, people are growing on their balconies. There's also aquaponic systems for growing vertically. And we were also looking at certain modular systems where recycled products are used, like skip bags or cardboard tubes, and of course allotments of various different scales. So we looked at these different examples and assessed them in view of their advantages and their failures. So then within the Dublin 8 region, we decided to focus our attention on Newmarket Square, like many of our other groups, particularly because the food co-op already exists. So there's this pre-existing basis of knowledge and also a basis of interest. And we looked at some examples in that area, and something that was particularly illuminating was the South Circular Road allotments. Because when we spoke to the people who had allotments there, we found out that 50% of allotments actually fail, mainly due to a diminishing interest, but also due to lack of knowledge. But there's also a massive waiting list for these allotments. So we found out, this is kind of a turning point in our research, we found out that there was interest, but no knowledge, and that was one of the reasons for the lack of success. And then, so focusing on Newmarket, we initially thought about making something in Newmarket Square itself, but then from our field research, we realised that that probably wasn't viable, so we kind of looked for vacant spaces around the site as a way of plugging into Newmarket itself to kind of reinforce what's already there. So I'm going to pass you on to Siobhan now to talk about the GYM system.
Thanks, Rachel. So as Rachel mentioned, there are numerous urban agriculture initiatives happening in D8 and elsewhere. Disappointingly, as you heard, many of these are failing to succeed due to lack of time and the lack of continued enthusiasm of the participants or the promoters. So from these learnings, we decided to develop, instead of developing another growing format, we decided that we'd look at designing a system that would enable better usage of both existing initiatives and future initiatives. The result of this was GYM, Gardens You Manage. So Gardens You Manage is an online management system that basically aims to connect people with land. It allows interested persons to engage in local agricultural initiatives, and it assigns these people to the initiatives that want the help, to create a system that is sustainable to all involved. So how does GYM work? So the most important part of GYM is the people. So at the top we'll have a coordinating team. This team will map the existing initiatives that are around, so different allotments, derelict sites, urban farming, they're going to speak later, and it'll also manage the members It'll also then distribute the shared resources and any outputs of the initiatives. Below them will be the garden champions. These will be a group of passionate individuals who will provide expert knowledge. It'll assist the members in growing and assist the coordinating team in planning the schedule. And then underneath this, there will be a group of members of enthusiastic individuals who want to get involved in growing. The interaction between these people will be managed on an online website in which each member or champion will create an online profile to detail their availability, their location, and their level of expertise in relation to gardening or farming. The coordinators will then use the online schedule to match the members and champions with the relevant agricultural initiative, along with the shared resources, and they will give details of what needs to be done, when it should be done, and how it should be done. The output from from Jim will be organic produce. This will be distributed to the active members, and any additional produce will be sold at local shops, restaurants, and markets. In short, Jim wants to provide more people with access to the known benefits of growing your own food, which may be mentioned already: education and learning, a connection with your local community, source of fresh organic food, satisfaction with being engaged in the food production process, outdoor activities which have health and well-being results, and then also the lower carbon footprint. On the funding side of things, Jim aims to be self-financing, with members paying a monthly subscription fee, and then additional income will be generated from the selling of additional produce, and the money generated will be used to fund the top team that we see would need to be paid positions, so the coordinating team. In the long term, we would also look at developing a reward system and online competitions for the members to engage in, to really take the idea of, say, Farmville offline. Okay, I'll now pass you on to Cormac, who will just go through quickly the user engaging with the system.
The users. Thanks, Siobhan. I just want to thank the whole team. The whole team really did put in a lot of effort, and a lot of research was done for this project. So the whole idea around the gym system is that it can accommodate all types of users. So somebody that only has a couple of hours a week, or somebody that has a vast knowledge of experience, are garden champions. So we've got two users here. One is Joe. He'd be the main coordinator, and Pat would be a member. Joe's job is to find out what has to be done, when it has to be done, and delegate that to the members. He would log on these duties onto our online schedule, and these duties will be delegated to all the members. Joe is also a very active member. He would be one of our gym garden champions, so he'd have knowledge that he could pass on to the other members. Pat is a user. Pat only has a couple of hours a week to provide. Not everybody has a lot of time. This is what we found out with our research, that people are very, very interested, but they don't have the time. So the whole idea around Gym is to provide a system that works for everybody. Pat would log on and find out what his job was to do, and then he would go do his job. So if he only had 2 hours, he'd go and do that 2 hours. The whole idea of Gym is that it's not an individual pod or an individual allotment, that it's more of a communal system. And then Pat, as a member, would reap the rewards, and he'd be able to sell them in his local cafe. We would go to local meetings and local parks and try to sign up new members, and very much be a hands-on local community thing. So, like a lot of the other projects here tonight, it's to try and involve the whole community and get everybody on board. And certainly food is going to be very much a an issue in years to come. This is an example of our website. The whole idea around our website is that it is user-friendly and that it is there for people to log on. There's going to be tutorials. You might see a YouTube video on how to look after potatoes or carrots or whatever. And that's the main thing. Our schedule is for people to log on. If they have a couple of hours, they'll find out what their hours are, what their duties are, and they'll go and do their duties. And they basically reap the rewards. So, thank you. Any questions?